my name is Amira. I'm 28 years old and I'm from the Northwest, from a small town called Bolton. I work in a day spa for ladies, and then when I'm not working, you'll see me somewhere in the mountains or in an adventure. I love spending time in the outdoors. I combine my two passions of being in the outdoors and photography and videography, so I like to sort of incorporate those whilst I'm out. I'm a Muslim British Indian, and I do a lot of community-based work with other female Muslims who want to get introduced to the outdoors. The group is called Wanderlust Women.
Can you share a little bit more about your early years in growing up? Did you have siblings? Were you quite an outdoorsy, sporty family? Were you more academic? What was life like for you?
So it was myself first, and my mum and dad, they used to love sort of going out for long drives and going on holidays, traveling. So traveling was a big part of my life. We traveled a lot. And we've seen some beautiful countries. So we were always sort of exposed to sort of nature and landscape. My mum's an artist, so she's always been connected with nature through her work. And also my dad was a businessman, so we would just hop along on his trips. So we've seen the jungles of Africa, mountains of Switzerland, the beautiful seas of Mauritius. So we've seen quite a bit of the world. So that was already in me. And then when I got to my sort of early teenagers, when you sort of get into that bubble, I really didn't want to do anything. I was sort of just wanting to stay in my room, and that's it really. And my mum would try and get me to go on walks, but I just wasn't interested. And then as I got to sort of college, she used to drag me along with her, and she joined a few hiking groups, and she sort of encouraged me to go with her. And at the beginning, I remember my first hike, I was literally crying. I was like, I don't want to do this. I hate this. And I was literally just crying all the way up. But then when I got to the top, now I can literally just wing by because it was such a small hill. But back then, I was like, wow, what is this? And I remember when I got to the top, I felt like it was such an accomplishment. And then I used to carry on with her. And because she was so sort of involved with the outdoors, I think that opened up a lot of opportunities for me to get into the outdoors. So things like horse riding, swimming, bike riding, things like that. So for me, it was easy to sort of get into the outdoors. And then as I got to sort of college and uni, I went backpacking on my own. I started doing solo traveling. I was doing solo adventures in the UK as well. So I sort of found my own route into the outdoors. My adventures always are based on a different country, so climbing in a different country or doing adventures in a different country. But because of lockdown, that's really opened up doors for me to actually explore England and see how much there is on our doorstep. Last year is where I actually really put my heart and passion into the outdoors and the hiking and really get involved and do something. And that's when I really wanted to work with the Wanderlust Women and, sort of expand on that.
Tell me a bit more about your mum. She sounds amazing. And also dragging you up that hill, not dragging, encouraging you and motivating you.
Yeah. So with my mum, she loved the outdoors and she loved hiking, but there was just not many people from our community who would enjoy that. They would prefer other things. So then she went online and she found meetup groups and over 50s groups and singles groups and things like that where people would get together and hike. And she was only the brown woman within the hiking group. There was no other coloured people. It was just herself. But she didn't feel out of place or anything. She just wanted to open up more opportunities for our community and sort of encourage. And then we used to do small walks, try and get people that we know every Sundays. And this was before Wanderlust Women. And we used to try and get people, encourage them to come out. So I think if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be as involved with the outdoors because it would have not been introduced to me. So when I do speak to certain people who find it a bit daunting, they've never been outdoors or on their first hike and things like that, I can't resonate with them because for me it was normal. But there are so many people who they haven't been introduced to the outdoors up until now, so they do feel sort of concerned. So I think I'm very grateful that she did sort of encourage us to be outdoorsy and hike and camp and do things like that. So yeah, she is pretty awesome.
Tell me a little bit more about some of your solo travels and when you went backpacking after college and uni. Where did you go? What sort of things were you doing?
I really wanted to do backpacking, but I was a bit sort of not scared, but yeah, I'll say probably scared, a good scared, I'm actually going to do this. And I was actually only supposed to go to Paris. And a few weeks before, I was doing one of those moments where you just fed up. And then I got my car and I just went on a road trip around England. And I just went to different spots and I just went to different hikes and things. And I thought, oh, I really like this. I really liked my own company and sort of just, do you know when you just sort of finding yourself? And then I had a trip planned to Paris, and I was only supposed to do Paris. And then literally that weekend, somehow I managed to plan a whole trip away for a few weeks in Europe. And I visited some amazing places. I went to Paris, went to Belgium, I went to Holland. I visited Barcelona, Morocco, Milan. So there's quite a few places that I visited, and I studied art and design at university. So it was really, really interesting to visit like the amazing museums and galleries and doing lots of art and meeting new people. Again, that was something that was not normal for a Muslim woman to do. So I did get a lot of questioning and things like that, but I just did it anyway. And I'm so glad that I did, because it made me realize how much I love traveling and how much I love to explore. And that's where I got the name Wanderlust from, because I just love wandering in different places, meeting new people, trying different foods, exploring cultures. So yes, I did that. It was after uni, so it was pretty good.
You said you got sort of questioned about your decisions for wanting to go backpacking and solo travel, and especially with family and friends. How did you handle that?
People were like, are you not scared? Are you going to be alone? What if something happens to you? And things like that, which obviously, are questions people would ask. But because I planned everything beforehand, and I'd always make sure, I'd take safety measures. So, the hostels, etc. I did so much research. I chose to stay in female-only hostels. If there were questions, I would always have something that I could say back. And I know everyone's main concern was, you shouldn't be traveling on your own. You're a female and you're on this. So with questions like that, I think it's majority when it comes to a female traveling on their own. A lot of people do sort of ask these questions. But I think if you are confident enough and you've done your research and you know your safety measures and you know not to do stupid things like, walking alone, at stupid hours at night and things like that. So I think for me, because I did all my research beforehand, if anyone did say anything, I had the answers. But it can be difficult because some people just don't understand why you do certain things. And, people were like, oh, on your own, are you not going to get bored on your own? And why would you want to go on your own? And things like that. But I think if you've not experienced it, you actually, you never know how much you enjoy sort of solo traveling until you've experienced it. And then once I did it, everyone was like, wow, like you're an inspiration, you are this. And that's when, people were like, they started to enjoy following my stories and my updates because they found me sort of inspirational for doing something.
What do you think that you learned most from having those experiences?
I think what it is that we have this fear of being on our own. We've been instilled in young that, you watch movies and things like that, and it's always, get married to a guy and live happily ever after. But that's been instilled in such a young age that we don't actually realize that we have to be a whole person on our own, and we have to sort of find out who we are. We're young, we go to school, we go to college, we're influenced by friends, family, and we're always constantly, and we don't have that sort of time to actually connect with our own self. And I think traveling on your own, it is something that takes a lot because, you're doing something which is probably a bit out of your comfort zone, but it's those fears and those anxieties that make you who you are, because you then think, do you know what? I was actually capable of doing something like this. Like I went on a plane on my own to a new city where I didn't know anyone, and I did it. And it's sort of like when you've accomplished something, you know that what you're capable of. I think for me at that time, it was like everyone was getting married and everyone was just having babies and everyone sort of stepped in their life doing what, and I was just like, what am I doing? And I just hated my job. I just sort of needed something, and that was exactly what I needed. And that's when it hit to me that, do you know what? I love exploring. I love getting lost. I love finding out about new places, new cultures, being around nature and photography. So like I said to you before, I love my photography and being in that moment, capturing these moments. And that's when I felt most alive. So for me, it was just trying to find out who I was and what I like doing. And I don't think I could have done that if I was just, sat here and doing what I was doing. I had to get out of my comfort zone and do something drastic, like go solo traveling on my own. And, it was the best thing that I did.
Tell us more about the Wanderlust Women.
Well, a few years ago, I was going through some things and I wanted to help other women. I wanted to sort of create a group. So we called it the Sunday Trails. And it was just a very casual, small group, like me and my mom and a few friends. And we would just get out on Sundays and just go walking. Now with lockdown, a lot more people have sort of got into sort of the nature and walking. But back then it was like, oh, you want to go for a walk? That's boring. So it was just one of them where people would come, people wouldn't come. And then it would just sort of be me, my mum and a few friends. So we continued to do that. I met Rory, who was doing work with Kit Collective. So they're an organisation who help groups, community groups and, diverse groups. So he got in contact with me and he was like, why don't you expand on this? And so he sort of gave me that push. And then I thought, I really want to work. So I worked on the branding, the sort of making the name and sort of getting things prepared for after lockdown. And I made like a separate Instagram because before I just used to sort of post from my own Instagram. And as soon as I made the Instagram page, it literally blew up. We've got over like 200, 300 members in the group. We've done some amazing things, from gorge walking to rock climbing to wild swimming to paddleboarding, working with such amazing companies like Solomon, Kit Collective. We've had so many amazing opportunities. So I think it was just that push that was needed. And I think lockdown with me not working, and it gave me that sort of motivation to really work with the group. And I've had so many women thanking me that, if it wasn't for you, we would never have gone on a walk. We've got people who are single mums, we've got people who are divorced, we've got people who are just mentally struggling. And that time when they come out, we're not just a walking group. We're like a family. We sort of, talk with each other. It's like a therapy session. People who have never met before, they're getting along because they're going through similar things. So we're like a little family where we get together, not just to walk, but to be there for each other and to support women with everything. Because, when it comes to like confidence, when it comes to sort of getting out of your comfort zone. And I've seen people that have come to the group and that first day they were just sort of, enclosed and in the bubble, and they felt so nervous and they were asking so many questions before the hiking. And now they're fantastic. They literally do everything, and, they do anything. Like they've never done rock climbing, but they sign up for it. They've never done gorge walking, but they sign up for it. And it's opened up like this sort of inner fire in them. So it's been really, really good. Obviously with the lockdown, we've not managed to do much. So I'm hoping, 2021 will bring us more opportunities to really get out there and, break those stereotypes about Muslim women, eradicate all those misconceptions that people have, and to show that, it doesn't matter, if you cover, if you wear the niqab, if you wear hijab, what colour your skin is, the outdoors, it's a safe space for everyone.
Do you know what I can just imagine is these women who are probably really nervous, scared, apprehensive, the butterflies are going in the stomach, like, massive amounts of doubt, getting there, and oh my God, I mean, I'm feeling it now. Like I'm feeling that stress, but then getting there and then just starting to walk and talk and connect, and then they've done their first walk, and then they realise, well, hold on, I've done it and it was amazing, and I've met these incredible women. And then equally for them to tell their friends, and then they will also be able to relate to other women when other women rock up. Think, well, I was feeling like that the first time I came to the group, and can feel that empathy and then support. Oh, I love this. Support them, encourage them.
What it is when you've got a group of people who look like you, and I know it shouldn't be like this, but unfortunately it is the sad reality that you are going to feel out of your comfort zone if you're walking and you're just the only person that looks like you. But if you're with a group who all of you sort of look similar, you feel more safe in a way. But it stopped them because they feel like, oh no, like, is this for us? Or what if it's not for us? And what if people look, and what if people stare, and is it safe? And all these questions, and especially with, racism nowadays and the attacks you hear of. And I know it's not as bad, but it does still exist. So these thoughts are in their head. And I get so many people messaging me about, how do you solo hike? Are you not scared? You wear the niqab, what if, so, and this and that. And I'd say, do you know what? Like, if I'm not going to do it, and if I don't stand up to, open up these barriers, who else will? We have to be strong and open up these barriers and get out there and show everyone that, the outdoors is for everyone, and, we shouldn't have to feel scared.
You talked there about, you get quite a lot of questions coming in, and you talked about the barriers, especially for Muslim women. What are your sort of top tips and advice for Muslim women, especially if they wear... Could you actually just explain what the niqab is?
Of course, yeah. So with the Islamic covering, you get sort of, you've got the hijab, so that's what you cover your hair with, so the face is not covered. And then you have the niqab, which is where you cover the face, so it's just the eyes, so you can see the eyes, and you're wearing the scarf as well. And with the niqab, I wear the niqab. I started wearing it. It's been nearly over a year and a half now. Before I was just wearing the hijab, but due to my spiritual connection with God, I felt it was right for me to do this. So some people wear the hijab, some people don't. Some people wear the niqab, they don't. Some people wear the burqa, which is the full thing. So there's different things that people do wear. So say if you was to go to the shop like Asda or something, you wouldn't feel scared because you know that there's going to be many people who are different colours, and who there'll be different people around. But say now you're going to go somewhere into the mountains where majority of the outdoorsy places are white, and so the people from the community might feel a bit scared, that they might feel out of place, they might just feel like, oh, should I go? Should I not go? So I think it's these sort of questions. So what I would suggest, and my tips would be that if you are wanting to solo hike, I would always say, first of all, do some local walks. So areas that you're familiar with. So Google your sort of places, what's local to you. Go at a time where it's daytime. So if you are feeling a bit anxious or scared, you know that it's daytime and you can sort of make your way around. I would say start off with shorter walks. Once you feel a bit more comfortable, then you can go for longer walks, and always plan your route. Always sort of prepare your timings and what time you're going to go for a walk and things like that. In terms of if they want to sort of expand further and go into like hill climbing or mountain climbing, again, it's just once you build up your confidence, then you can start, you'll know when you feel ready, and you'll be like, okay, do you know what? I want to climb this mountain. For me, I sort of not prefer it, but I like solo hiking because I just feel like I could just be in my own zone. I could just really connect with nature and I can let my mind free. But some people, they might not like that. They might prefer to go with someone. So maybe create a hiking buddy and, both of you go together. That way you've both given each other encouragement. So there's different things, and it just depends on each individual. But I would say never be scared, and don't let the way you look stop you from doing things. Instead, make it be where you feel more encouraged to do the things that you feel like you can't do.
Sometimes it's almost like about reframing that word. So instead of feeling scared, it's about feeling excited, because it's like there's the same like emotions that you're probably feeling.
Yeah.
How easy is it to find sort of appropriate clothing to wear to go into the outdoors that fulfill your the requirements to dress sort of modestly?
So that's something that I'm currently trying to work on as well, because I feel like there's not enough modest clothing, and if there is, they're like extortionate prices. So for me, luckily I have one brand that I work with which I call Indeed, and they're absolutely fantastic. They specialize in active outdoor wear, and it's not ridiculously priced, and they're absolutely amazing. So they kindly gave me some amazing clothes which I wear, and they're absolutely fantastic. In terms of hijab and niqab, I found something that suits for me for when I'm outdoors. Although I do say that someone does need to make a windproof niqab, because when you're at the top of the mountain, all I'm like is literally everything's flying everywhere. Yeah, I've got people now like Nike and Puma. I think they've got like some modest wear out, and I know that there are sort of companies that are trying to make their brands a bit more diverse. In terms of obviously, if you want specific outdoor gear, so you want all the elements of the thermal wear, the sort of windproof, rainproof, and things like that, I can only think of probably the company that I purchase from, and maybe another few companies, but there isn't many out there. So I think that's something that needs to be worked on.
Is your niqab, is it quite breathable? Like, when you're sort of out there in the hills and in the mountains, like...
Basically, when I go hiking, I have one that I wear which suits me for hiking. So do you know how you have the face masks?
Yeah.
It's literally like, so it's a piece of cloth, so it goes from just under my eyes, and then it goes up to around just above my chest area, and then that's a piece of black cloth, and then there's a string around. So I put my hijab on first, which I have like a few specific ones which work for me when I'm hiking. Then I put that on, and then I put my scarf on top. Now for winter, I just put like a hat on top. So that works for me. I also have like an all-in-one sort of, it's like a, how do I explain this? It's like a dress, but it's got the head covering and the niqab. And I really like that for summer because it's just all in one. and it's so comfortable. So I like wearing that in summer. I would love to sort of maybe work with someone one day to make something sort of mountain proof. So when you're at the top, you know, I can remember when I was on Scaffold Pike, all I can remember is just everything flying everywhere.
One of the great things about being in the mountains is when you can sit down, take in the views, be with nature, and eat some fabulous food. So when you're hiking, what sort of food are you taking with you? What's your go-to snack?
So crisps, literally. So I'm more of a crisp person than chocolate, but I feel like when you're hiking, chocolate's needed because you need that sort of energy. If I'm doing sort of long hikes, if I'm doing the bigger mountains, so like Lake District and things like that, then I like to take things like protein bars. I like to take Snacker Jacks, crisps, and I like to take like salad or sandwiches. With sandwiches, I feel like you always take them and then you end up just getting bloated. So I always like to take sort of light food that will keep you sort of fueled. I remember when we went to Scaffold Pike, we took a really nice hummus and falafel salad, and that was so nice. So yeah, I like to sort of mix it because I think that it's important to take good food with you. Obviously not to take the whole fridge with you, but good food, because you know that with me especially, because I take long, like I'm not one of them where I like to rush. So I know we're going to be there for, you know, majority of the day. So I think that is important. And I think why I'm saying this is because we learned when I climbed Scaffold Pike, that was actually the sort of first proper mountain that I climbed in England. I thought we'd be done in like 4 hours, and we set off at sunrise. I think sunrise was about 6 o'clock then, and we didn't come down till after sunset. Oh my God, that was such a well, it wasn't a disaster. It was a good disaster because it taught me a lot of things. But I remember I always take like extra food, like just in case. So we have like the snacks, and then I'm always one of them where I have like the just in case. And I was like, that one day, I was like, do you know what? We're not going to need anything. It's fine because we're going to be down and we can have a nice breakfast. We'll pop into a nice cafe. That didn't happen. And that was the one time we literally only took the smallest amount of food. And I remember being so hungry. So I think from there now I've learned that even if you think you're going to be back early, always still just take a bit of extra. So I think my first plan of always taking extra is going to stay with me.
This is how you learn, like 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'd love you to share a little bit more about one of your favourite hikes, favourite walks, you know, your favourite sort of time out in the mountains, you know, a memory that you reflect back on, it just brings you joy and a smile to your face.
For me, it was when I did the National 3 Peaks. So I set myself a challenge a very long time ago to climb the 3 national peaks, but I never did it. I don't know why. Life comes in the way, and you know when you just, and then lockdown happened, and I was reading through like my bucket list, and I was like, why have I never done this? Like, what's stopping me? So we had those sort of few weeks where in between lockdown there wasn't a lockdown. So I think it was sort of July to September time, was it? So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to do them whilst we're not in lockdown. And so Scaffold Pike was the first one that we did. It was the most hardest. I've never scrambled before, and I forgot to download my offline map, not knowing that there's not going to be any internet connection. So we sort of just winged the way. We ended up climbing Great Gable, which wasn't on the list. So, and then we took like that, I don't know whether you've climbed, but that route, which is really scrambly, like its majority is where you're just literally on your hands and knees. And I was like saying to my friend Asma, who I hill climb with, I'm like, why is there no one here? Because Scaffold Pike is so popular and there's no one here. And then we finally met 2 guys, and they were like, oh, you know, you guys are brave enough to take this. And we were like, he was like, you know, and then he explained everything to us, and I was like, oh my God. But number one thing I learned was always to download your offline maps, always, because you're going to be in the mountains, it's not going to be internet. But it was the most amazing views. There was no one there. I just literally felt so connected. And a part of me when I go out in the outdoors is to connect with God, because I do a lot of meditation. We do something called zikr, which is remembrance of God, so remembrance of Allah. So we praise and glorify our Lord. So when you're out and you see something so beautiful, automatically I remember my Lord, and I remember verses from the Holy Book, which is the Quran, on the beautiful bounties and the beautiful nature that He's blessed us with. So when we do our prayers, we do a ritual wash beforehand, which is called wuzu. So just to be near the streams and to, with the fresh water, to, purify yourself and to pray in the open space and just to sit and meditate is one of the most surreal and most beautiful moments. And that is why I love being out in the nature, especially when it comes to praying. I remember in Scaffold Pike, there was this little stream and I was doing my ritual wash and, I sat to pray. And it was just such a beautiful moment. I specifically remember that. And I think now when I look back, that's why although it was the hardest, I did really, really enjoy it because we were blessed with some beautiful views. Usually people have like horrendous weather. We had like such clear views. It was so sunny. Many lessons were learned. And I think even with Ben Nevis, it was absolutely beautiful. Everyone was like, be careful, the weather's bad, this and so many things, because that's what you hear, because Scottish weather. We were blessed with some amazing cloud inversions and it was so clear, like everyone was like, you literally bringing the good weather here. And it was so beautiful. And I remember it was sort of sunset time. That was the last mountain of the challenge. So for me, it was like, I've accomplished this. It was a really nice moment for me. And I just remember putting my prayer mat down and just praying and watching the sunset. Like, it was sort of just before sunset, sorry. And it was just really, really surreal. Those are the little moments that I really sort of hold on to. And those are the special moments for me, just to be in that moment, remembering my God and just being in that sort of moment of pause for a while.
Oh, I think sometimes we all need that. We just need a bit of a pause, a bit of, got that time in nature, the sunsets, the views, the sunrises. Almost on the flip side of that, what's been the biggest challenge that you faced in the outdoors?
I thought for me it would be that I would not be able to partake or do activities by the way I'm dressed. And I always thought that's going to be a challenge for me. And I always, in my head, subconsciously believe that's going to be a challenge. But that wasn't a challenge for me. It was a challenge in a good way, where it made me want to do more and it encouraged me to do a lot more than I expected. Sometimes you think that something's going to be a challenge for you, but instead it's the other way around, and it's sort of like it's the best thing. And, for me personally, I feel like, wearing the niqab is giving me the confidence to do a lot more, to get involved and do so many things. So many things that I would probably sort of think, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm not going to be able to do that. But I went and, I did it. And I thought to myself, why am I thinking that I can't do something because of something that I'll wear? And yeah, people are going to look, people are going to stare, but so what? Rock climbing was something that I really wanted to do, but I just thought, I'm able to do it. But, a really lovely company called Wave Adventure got in touch and they took the Wanderlust Women, and it was absolutely amazing. Also paddleboarding and wild swimming. I saw a lot of people they were doing wild swimming. So, I got in touch with a few people and I did some wild swimming, and that was absolutely amazing. I did some paddleboarding. So one of the most challenging things I've done would probably be, I think it'd be Scaffold Pike. That was a very, very challenging, because like I said, I just wasn't prepared enough for the hike. But I think it taught me a lot of lessons. So I'm glad that I did do it.
Probably like a lot of people have experienced that, where like, should we turn round? Should we go back? I can't keep going. Like, oh, what is happening? Like, oh my God. What kept you moving forward? Why did you keep going?
So firstly, it was because, we were halfway up and I was like, right, we're not going back down. We're going up. We have to go up. I think secondly, my friend Asma, she's absolutely amazing. When I do get moments, I'm like, you know what, why am I doing this? We'll both remind each other that we're doing this because we're strong, independent women. We can do this. And then, we all have our own challenges that we face. We all have things that we've been through. We all have certain things. So for me, hiking and setting these challenges is to, sort of make me a stronger person mentally. And, mental health is so important to me. And I feel like when I do these things, it really does strengthen that. And it takes me to a happy place, to a place where I'm more still alive. So in that moment, I'm like, oh my God. And then I remember, why am I doing this? And I remember, okay, Amira, you put down in your bucket list, you want to climb the 3 mountains. Now, after lockdown, you said to yourself, you're going to climb them. So you need to, I'd give myself a little prep talk in my head. Sometimes I'll even pause, I'll sit down for a minute or so and just sort of breathe, do some meditation, get myself sort of energized again, and then, start. So I think it's just about composing and, just grounding yourself and just telling yourself like, why are you doing this? And, once you sort of give that little prep talk, you're like, you feel a bit more energized. And then once you make it, you think, well, you know what? I'm so proud of myself. I've done this. I've overcome all the fears that came with it. And, you sort of feel like you've accomplished something. So I think for me, it's just, sometimes you have to give yourself that little prep talk. And even if it takes you half an hour or an hour before, because I remember on Ben Nevis, for some reason, I had some anxiety. I don't know whether it was because people kept saying that it was really hard. And, when you read things online, or it was just subconscious. And I remember for the first 15, 20 minutes, I was just like, I felt like I can't walk. And I just felt like, I can't do this. But after that, I was absolutely fine. And I think that was just because, when you speak to people and, it's the highest mountain and, it's the hardest one and things like that. But to me, that was one of the most beautiful mountains I've climbed. It wasn't challenging. I think definitely just giving yourself a moment really, really helps.
Amira, you mentioned your bucket list there, that you've got some of your goals written down. What else is on your bucket list?
Oh, are you ready for it?
I'm ready, I'm excited.
So my bucket list, I've got so many things. So I'll tell you a few things. I really want to, say it's UK based, I really want to complete the Wainwrights, and I really want to do a bit more climbing. But in terms of the bucket list that I do have, I really want to visit the Canadian Rockies in Alberta and do some mountain climbing there. I really want to get into sort of winter stuff. So I really want to try some skiing and snowboarding. That's something that I want to do. I want to visit Iceland, see the Northern Lights. I want to do some trekking in Norway. And then I really want to do North Pakistan, so the Hunza Lake and the mountain region there, because it's absolutely beautiful. And what else? I do want to do Everest Base Camp. That's something that I want to do. And I really want to do some volunteer work with animals. So I really want to work with like sort of elephants and the orphanages and things like that, and do some voluntary work there. So these are some of the things that I've, that on the top list, but the list goes on.
They are fantastic goals. Do you have role models, and maybe do you have specific Muslim role models that you look up to who inspire you to get into the outdoors?
So I think in terms of within the outdoor community, and things like that, there are, a few people out there who are doing a lot of changes within the community. But I think if I was to look for a role model, it would definitely be my mum, because she's done so many things and she's done so many adventurous sort of projects, and she's done a lot of hiking, and she's done like all these things which I probably wouldn't have done if she hadn't done it. But in terms of like sort of social media, there's so many amazing people out there that are doing some amazing work. I can just name a few. I've got my friend Asma, who's done she's done like Everest Base Camp, and she's done like the North Pakistan mountains, and she's done quite a bit of stuff. So she inspires me. And then there's Zara and Rahana from Instagram, who are doing a lot of work for breaking barriers. So there are a few people out there who do inspire me within the social media as well, and who encourage me to do a lot more as well.
I'd love for you to share, where's the best place for people to find you online? Where should they connect with you? Where should they go?
It's Amira_the Wanderlust. That's where I share my journey through photography and videography. And then for anyone who's interested in joining the group, who want to be a part of the Wanderlust Women, the account for that is the.wanderlust.women. And if you just drop me a message on there, you're more than happy to join the group and get involved with the work that we're doing.
And have you got any final words of advice for our listeners to encourage them to get outside, to step outside their comfort zone, and to do something that scares/excites them? What advice would you have? I
would say never ever let your fears get in the way. Yeah, everyone has fears, but it's how you challenge them. Don't let your fears get in there, because it will stop you from doing a lot of things, and you won't know until you've tried. So especially for the community out there, for Muslim women, if you feel out of place, if you feel like everyone's staring at you, if you feel like you're getting comments, I know it can be hard, and I know sometimes you might just feel like deterred from going outside, but don't let it stop you, because the more you go out there and the more you do what you're doing, the more it'll open up doors for everyone else. And it can be quite daunting. I know I can say that as well. When you are walking and people are asking you like, why have you got that on, and are you not hot, and all the cheering you want because you don't look like the typical hill walker. But that's no reason for you to stop doing what you're doing. You carry on doing what you're doing, because the outdoors is for everyone. And also, in terms of anyone trying to get out there into the outdoors, generally I would say it's the best thing that you can do, especially for your mental health. Just being connected to nature, being around the countryside, listening to the birds, the natural streams, it has so many benefits for your mental health. It's a very big de-stressor. Just going for a 20 to 30 minute walk will massively reduce your stress. And I think just trying to connect with yourself wherever you feel at peace, whether that's by a waterfall or wherever it is, just make the most of these moments.
Absolutely. Amira, thank you so much for coming to Tough Girl Podcast and sharing more about your love and passion for the outdoors. And I have no doubt that you will complete all of those things on your bucket list.
Hopefully.
You will. But it's been an absolute inspiration to talk to you.
Oh, and you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey Tribe, I hope you enjoyed the episode with Amira. For those of you who are brand new to the Tough Girl Podcast, my name is Sarah Williams. I'm the host of the Tough Girl Podcast and the founder of Tough Girl Challenges, which is all about motivating and inspiring you to get outdoors, to get fit, to get active, to travel and explore, which is 100% what Amira is doing. Amira has taken her passion and her interest in the outdoors and is spreading it to her community, to her friends, to her family, and encouraging other Muslim women to get out there and to get active. So everything that we have talked about today will be available in the show notes at toughgirlchallenges.com. So please do go and check it out. If you want to find out more information about me, the Tough Girl Podcast, and all of our previous guests, then the website toughgirlchallenges.com is where you need to go. So the Tough Girl Podcast is sponsorship and ad-free, and that's thanks to the monthly financial support of patrons. To find out more about supporting the Tough Girl Podcast, then please visit Patreon, patreon.com/Tough Girl Podcast, and help me to increase the amount of female role models in the media. I just want to say a massive thank you to the following patrons: Tara Geiger, Zoe Langley-Watham, Katja Lunaire, Damiana Day, and Ellen Piercy. Thank you so much for your incredible support. It is just amazing to have you believing in me and believing in the mission. It really does make a massive difference. There's currently 273 patrons supporting the Tough Girl Podcast, and every single patron makes a massive, massive difference in allowing me to continue to do this work and to release 2 new episodes every week. So new episodes go live every Tuesday and every Thursday at 7 a.m. at UK time. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out.